You can be physically close to her and still make her feel like she doesn't exist. That's the thing most men don't understand. Presence without emotional connection is like a body without a soul. When you act like she doesn't matter, when your words become few and your attention becomes rare, she begins to shrink in a space where she once felt like she belonged. Women don't just want you to be around, they want to feel that you see them, value them, and recognize their worth. When that presence turns cold, when your affection becomes transactional, it starts to chip away at her sense of importance in your life. It's subtle at first. You stop asking how her day went. You respond with one-word answers. You start prioritizing everything else, your phone, your friends, your distractions, over a simple moment of connection. To you, it might seem like nothing. You're just tired, distracted, or maybe even trying to assert your own space. But to her, it's a storm that begins to brew quietly inside. She starts wondering what changed. The man who once hung on her every word now barely notices when she walks into the room. That shift is more damaging than most men realize, because when a woman starts to feel emotionally irrelevant, her mind doesn't just stay still. It starts searching for answers. She replays conversations in her head. She questions her looks, her words, her actions, trying to figure out where she lost you. And what makes it even more painful is the fact that you're right there, but it feels like she's already alone. That kind of distance, the kind where the body stays but the heart leaves, is the most painful kind of rejection. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's cold. And cold is what slowly kills a woman's fire. And here's the truth: most women won't tell you straight up that they're falling apart inside. They'll try to keep it together. They'll laugh at your jokes, cook your meals, stay by your side, hoping you'll notice them again. But each time they reach out and you pull further away, a part of them starts to give up. Women are emotional beings. When they love, they give their hearts fully. But when they begin to feel unimportant, their minds spiral. And that spiral leads to emotional withdrawal, overthinking, frustration, even emotional detachment. What once was joy turns into anxiety. What once was comfort becomes confusion. That simple act of treating her like she doesn't matter becomes the slow unraveling of the relationship. Because at her core, a woman doesn't just want to be kept. She wants to be cherished. And when she feels invisible, she doesn't just lose her sense of peace. She begins to lose her sense of self. So when you act like she doesn't matter, don't be surprised when she eventually acts like you don't either. Remember, it's not just about being there. It's about making her feel that she matters every single day. She was once the center of your world. You made her feel like a queen. Your queen. Every glance, every word, every little effort you made told her that she was special. She felt seen, valued, and chosen, but somewhere along the line, things shifted, the attention faded. The excitement disappeared, and now, instead of feeling cherished, she feels like a question mark in her own relationship. She doesn't understand what went wrong, because to her, she's still giving you everything she has. But your energy, it's different. Colder, distant, unbothered. She used to know her place in your life, but now she's second, guessing whether she has one at all. You see, for most women, love isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistency. It's in the way you text her good morning, not just when you're trying to impress her, but even on the ordinary days. It's in the way you look at her like she still takes your breath away, even after the honeymoon phase is over. When that consistency fades, she feels it. She senses the change before you even speak it. And it hurts more than you'll ever realize, because she's not just missing your attention. She's grieving the version of you who once made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. That emotional drop is sharp. It's like falling from the highest peak of love into a silent, cold valley. And it's not about being dramatic. It's about emotional displacement. She was elevated, put on a pedestal where she felt honored, and now she's left trying to figure out why she's being treated like an option. It makes her question everything. She wonders if she's not beautiful enough, smart enough, exciting enough. She'll examine herself from every angle, trying to pinpoint where she might have fallen short. But deep down, what she's really trying to understand is how you could change so fast, and why the person who once lit up around her now looks through her like she's a stranger. When a woman feels this shift, she doesn't just get sad, she feels broken. She starts to mourn the connection that once felt like home. That loss creates emotional chaos within her. You might think she's overreacting, being needy, or too emotional, but it's not that simple. You made her feel like royalty, and now you treat her like a background character. That emotional contrast is jarring, even traumatic. Because women tie love to value, so when you begin to act indifferent, she begins to feel insignificant. And here's the painful truth: she'll try to earn back that old version of you. She'll give more, try harder, love deeper, hoping that the man who once adored her will return. But if he doesn't, she'll hit a breaking point. She'll go quiet. She'll stop trying. And eventually she'll walk away, not because she stopped loving you, but because she got tired of begging to matter in a heart that once claimed she was everything. Never underestimate what that shift does to her spirit. When you make her feel like she's no longer your queen, don't be surprised when she decides to stop playing the role. When you act like she doesn't matter, silence doesn't bring her peace. It brings her panic. The quiet isn't calm to her. It's loud, deafening even. It screams thoughts she never wanted to think, because when you suddenly pull back or go distant without explanation, her mind doesn't shut off, it turns on in overdrive. She starts filling in the blanks, replaying every recent moment in her head, trying to piece together where things went wrong. That's what happens when communication disappears. Her emotions don't settle, they spiral. And the space you think is harmless is actually where her doubts start to grow. You may think your silence is strength, or that distancing yourself sends a message of control or independence, but in her heart it feels like abandonment. She wonders if there's another woman. She questions if she's not good enough anymore. She second guesses whether she said something wrong, acted too clingy, or became too much. Her thoughts, once filled with confidence and love, now become a maze of uncertainty, and the painful part is that she's trying to fix something she doesn't even understand. That emotional confusion leads her to blame herself, not because she's weak, but because she once believed she was safe in your presence. And now that presence feels unfamiliar. The human mind hates not knowing, and for women, emotional safety is tied to clarity. When that's taken away, when she's met with cold distance or indifferent silence, she doesn't just sit and wait quietly. She feels the weight of every unspoken word. She begins to think, maybe he's falling out of love, maybe he's done, maybe I've lost him. And what makes it worse is that she won't always say it. She'll smile, pretend she's fine, act like nothing's bothering her, but inside she's crumbling, because she can't shake the feeling that she's slowly becoming irrelevant in a space where she used to feel irreplaceable. The more you withdraw, the more her imagination takes control, and let's be honest, most women don't imagine the best case scenario. They fear the worst. That's how her mind works when you go quiet. She's not seeking drama, she's seeking reassurance. She's not looking for you to be perfect. She's just hoping you care enough to notice when something's off. And when that reassurance never comes, she begins to feel emotionally homeless, left alone in a relationship that once made her feel everything, but now makes her feel like nothing. You might see her acting out, being moody, emotional, or distant herself, but that's not her being irrational. That's her response to feeling emotionally unsafe. She's reacting to silence that feels like rejection, to distance that feels like dismissal. And the sad truth is, she may keep trying to close the gap, reaching for a version of you that seems to be fading more each day. But over time, even her strongest efforts will wear thin, because you can only chase clarity for so long before the silence convinces you that the answer was never going to come. When a woman starts filling the silence with painful assumptions, it's only a matter of time before her love becomes guarded and her trust becomes a memory. A lot of men think pulling away will make a woman chase them. They believe that acting distant, silent, or emotionally unavailable will somehow increase their value in her eyes. But what they don't realize is this: when a woman loves deeply and starts to feel shut out, her mind doesn't go to curiosity, it goes to chaos. She doesn't get more attracted to your distance. She doesn't feel challenged in a playful way. What actually happens is that your withdrawal triggers something raw inside her. It doesn't make her feel more excited about you. It makes her feel unworthy of love, confused about her place in your life, and desperate for emotional stability. You might see her becoming emotional, moody, or even lashing out, and think she's overreacting, but she's not reacting to the space. You're reacting to what the space makes her feel. And that space feels like punishment, like rejection, like being told without a single word that she isn't enough anymore. When you start pulling back, you may think it gives you the upper hand, but what it really does is push her into a spiral of self-doubt, where she begins to feel like she's chasing something that should have been secure. She starts thinking she has to prove herself, fight for your attention, or change who she is just to get back what was once freely given. And that's not love. That's emotional survival. That's her trying to hold together a bond that feels like it's slipping through her fingers. She doesn't feel safe anymore. She feels like she's walking on eggshells, measuring her words and overanalyzing your silence, just to avoid pushing you further away. The dynamic shifts completely. It stops being about connection and starts being about control. And the worst part? She starts chasing your validation instead of trusting your love. The more distant you become, the more chaotic she feels inside. And this chaos doesn't just stay quiet, it changes the way she sees herself. She goes from being the confident, loving woman you fell for to someone constantly questioning if she's doing too much, caring too much, or simply being too much. Her light dims, her energy shifts. She becomes anxious, restless, and emotionally exhausted, because love should feel like peace, not a battlefield. What you think is a tactic to gain power in the relationship is actually a slow dismantling of her emotional strength. Every time you ignore her text, act cold toward her presence, or give her the silent treatment, you're not teaching her a lesson. You're teaching her that love with you is unstable. That love with you means chasing, proving, and guessing. And eventually, even the strongest woman will get tired of chasing a heart that runs from her. Pulling away doesn't make her respect you more. It makes her respect herself less until she realizes she deserves better. And when that realization hits, it won't be chaos anymore. It'll be calm. The kind of calm that comes when she decides she no longer wants to beg for what she should have always felt: security, affection, and emotional presence. When you consistently treat her like she doesn't matter, when you withhold affection, dismiss her emotions, or make her feel invisible, Something inside her begins to shut down. At first she might fight harder. She'll try to be more loving, more patient, more understanding, hoping that you'll notice her again. She'll hold on tightly because love taught her to stay and work through hard times. But with every day that passes where your actions tell her she's not important, she starts to believe it. And that belief changes everything. You see, women are emotional creatures by nature, but don't mistake their emotions for weakness. Her silence isn't surrender, it's transformation. When she stops asking for your attention, when she stops reacting to your coldness, that's not her giving up on the relationship. That's her starting to protect herself. That's her spirit building a wall, not to shut you out, but to finally stop herself from being hurt by you. And once that wall is up, once her heart begins to detach, you've entered dangerous territory, not because she'll lash out, but because she won't look back. At that point, she doesn't need to yell or explain. She doesn't seek closure. Her healing begins in silence, and her peace becomes her new priority. She no longer waits by the phone. She no longer wonders why your tone changed. She's no longer bothered by your absence, because she's too focused on reclaiming the parts of herself she lost trying to matter to someone who wouldn't make her feel seen. You may think she's being cold, or that she's suddenly distant, but the truth is, you taught her how to stop loving you. Every time you ignored her needs, every time you made her feel like she was too much or not enough, you trained her to accept emotional starvation as normal. Until she woke up one day and said, "This isn't love." That awakening is quiet, but it's powerful. Because once a woman sees you clearly, not through the lens of love, but through the reality of your neglect, she can't unsee it, and she won't go back. By the time you realize what you had, she'll already be gone. Not physically, maybe, but emotionally. Her love will no longer be available to you. And what hurts most is that she won't even be angry. She won't argue or try to make you understand. She'll be calm, unbothered, even kind, because that's the version of her that's fully healed, the version of her that no longer feels the need to be chosen. Because she finally chose herself. When you act like she doesn't matter, you slowly destroy the very thing that made her love you in the first place, her trust in your love. And once that trust is gone, her heart no longer lives in the relationship. You may still see her face, hear her voice, but the version of her who once adored you, who once gave you all of herself without hesitation, that version is gone. And nothing you say or do can bring her back.